Welcome back to Fate Strange Fake, episode 3. Last time we had the big fight with the assassin, the ball guy, and the police chief. Potentially Saber, we will see. However, now we are at Big Ben? Question mark?
来ていただかずとも私からお伺いしましたのに。
フラットを押し付けたわしにも責任の一端はある。
So Flat is the young dude, right? If I remember correctly.
しかし正直、
Where's
あや
Jack?
つを抱え続けるお主には感服を通り越して呆れるぞ。今回の聖杯戦争、君は生還するとのことだが、フラットはどうする？
Maybe not?
管轄外です。と言いたいですが、彼はまだうちの
Maybe it
で
is?
す。それに、かの地での聖杯戦争では、どうにも奇妙なことが起きているようですから。
奇妙？
いいえ、もしかしたら聖杯戦争は、まだ始まってすらいないのかもしれません。
Is there a starting point? So whenever one of the spirits are being summoned, they ask, "Are you my master?" They then get the command spell. Maybe because the assassin does not have a master yet, the Holy Grail War can't start because there are not 7 masters with 7 heroic spirits. There are only 7 spirits with 6 master. Is that the point? It doesn't start until everyone has a master, which means if the police chief would die, then his spirit wouldn't have a master, so they needed someone new, right? Unless it's like, they don't really know because we are already fighting.
聖杯戦争の監
Right, I totally forgot he's here too. The bishop. He's going to oversee.
督役か。嘆かわしいことだ。この聖杯戦争には教会は関わらぬと聞いたから汗三
I feel like that the church and the vampires clan, whatever he is part of, are going to be at odds. I feel like these would be mortal enemies.
時だというのに、結局この町も
話が長いんだよ。屍。
That is nice. He's the only one that was able to do anything to him. So maybe he has some kind of power that lets him ignore the heroic spirit's power? Was this guy's power?
これはどういうつもりだ
俺のおごりだ。ここの連中の血のか。
つもりだ
俺のおごりだ。
Oh, he threw it right
ここの
away.
連中の血の代わりにすするといい。
そうかなるほどおごりか受付で無料支給してるコーヒーだろうが
It is really interesting. Again, all the other ones with their noble phantasm were unable to touch him, but this guy was able to punch him. Maybe he is immune to noble phantasms? Maybe that is the point?
首を吹き飛ばしたと思ったんだが、さすがに硬いな。バトンタッチってやつだ。あいつは俺が消そう。
我々に手を貸すというのか。
監督役以前に俺は神父だからな。だがまあ欲しい見返りはある。コーヒーを粗末に扱ったこと、教会には黙っててくれ。シフ殿に叱られるのが怖いんでね。
Okay, so he has some kind of he's some kind of cyborg He has like a robotic arm. Maybe not necessarily a cyborg, but enhanced human being. And again, the vampire has like these cores, these balls that seem to be different personalities or bodies or whatever. And he had some kind of force field that is not active now. Maybe the priest does have an ability to suppress other abilities, or the force field is only against noble spirits or noble phantasms. Which would be interesting. He also was like, I only rushed here because I heard the church was not involved. So maybe the church is just his bane, his weakness. I do wonder what this is about. So we have Francesca and someone who could be like a twin. Also that they have like the silver hair similar to the group that mind controlled or hypnotized our main character. Okay, still.
油断したな。ああ、俺は今油断していたよ。これが慢心というやつか。
そう謙遜するな。お前は油断などしていなかった。いつだって全力だ。そうだろ。
How did you pull these out?
Kisama, 代行者か。
代行者は休職中でな。今日は監督官として来ている。
愚かな選択だ。私を倒すということは監督役としての中立性を放棄するという。
Oh, right, because you do have a command spell. Never mind, you do have the command spell for the assassin. Why is the Holy War not starting? Is there like a starting point? Is there like a flare going up, a gunshot? Why is it not officially starting? Supposedly.
ことではないか。
はて、お前が聖杯戦争のマスターなどという話は聞いたこともない。
さっき私がアサシンの前で断言しただろうが。
サーバントはお前の存在ごと否定したがっていたようだが。
そこがまた美しい。
答えになっていないぞ。
なんでしょう。
Someone's interest has been piqued.
サーバント。あれはあの時の神父ともう一人は。
よくわからん。よくわからんが、サーバントではないな。大方魔物か怪異の一種だろうよ。しかし、あの神父、あのような体でまだ神の道具となり果てていないとはな。まだ
With his body as it is, he has yet to completely become a tool for his god. So he's not 100% under God's rule. Maybe if you replace everything with a machine or, enhance, you then become a soldier of God? I feel like this would make a lot more sense if I watched one of the other shows. Which would also mean there are like soldiers of God that potentially could come down.
神の道具となり果てていないとはな。
野じ馬が見ているぞ。聖杯戦争の陰徳はどうした。
この程度なら何度でもなるさ。
And it though, flying cars. I mean, there's no real hiding the Holy Grail War anymore. With Saber doing the whole speech, we have like a crater in the desert, and now we have flying cars.
それより当てられないならこちらから行くぞ。
これが監督官としての任務か。俺は貴様らが保護すべきマスターだぞ。
教会が干渉するのは奇跡を秘匿し人類の安寧を守るためだ。吸血鬼が聖杯を手にするとあれば、監督官としては失格だろう。
Where did you get those weapons?
監督官としては失格。
I guess he has an unlimited supply in his jacket. But yeah, so seems like vampires are just kill on sight, essentially. Animation is top notch. This whole episode. Pretty, what? Huh?
そこまで俺を殺したいとはな。さては人に親か恋人でも殺されたか。
まあ一族老頭殺されはしたが、それを恨みには思っていない。お前がどう見ても悪党だった。その理由じゃ不服か。
貴様の言動はいちいち俺を苛立たせるな。さしたる信念も感じられんまま使徒をいたずらに殺すというのか。あの麗しのアサシンとはまるで逆の醜さだ。
Okay, some kind of blood magic, maybe? So his whole clan got killed by the dead opossum. Presumably that means the whole clan was under, like, you know, every one of those would become an executioner and maybe part of the church. Also, what about his eye flap? Is there an eye behind that? Is there like a robot eye? Like in shows like this, there has to be a power up. You see the enemy powering up, quote unquote, or showing his full power. Our priest probably has something similar behind the eye patch, where it's like a super eye for kinetic vision or something like that. What? So he tried to stab him in his throat. However, he got blocked. He's not strong enough to get through his throat? Or hair? One of the two. Whatever blocked him. So the priest is very durable, very strong, very fast. Has these weapons. He seems to be skilled at fighting. How many of those are there? He seems to be the arbitrator of this Holy Grail War. Potentially because there's no official arbitrator. Maybe the church took that part because the head priest did say you are not going as an executioner, you go as an arbitrator. It feels like this guy is very strong. But the church, even though they have this power, they just let the Holy Grail War happen? Oh. The fingers just got cut. Interesting. So it's not blocked, but more or less parried.
騎士か
Okay. I mean, this we knew. Okay. So maybe he is vulnerable?
お前らみたいな化け物の相手をしているからな。体の7割は性別済みのからくり仕掛けだ。
70% consecrated mechanical parts. That is probably what Gilgamesh was talking about, that as he is now, he's not fully a tool of God, because he's only 70%. I assume you need to reach like 90% to then be fully under control of God for something? I don't know.
さっきの風といい、それがお前の能力か？
悪いが小心者なんでな。降雪するつもりはない。
I don't know. Throwing cars did not really work. And I am also... I still don't know where the assassin went. Somewhere far away from the city. Yeah, I just wanted to say bionic feet as well, or leg. You did say 60%, so 70%. I assume both legs, both arms, potentially some of the organs, maybe some of the skin. I'm assuming the head is still human, and potentially some parts of the main torso. By the way, this can all be explained away. How? I feel like that is not his concern. Someone else is going to have to do that.
なるほどなるほど。貴様は今まで見た大公社の中でもトップクラスだ。さては噂の埋葬機関というやつか？
Burial Agency.
埋葬機関だと、この俺が。
Ooh, that is a sore spot. He doesn't like them, okay.
ふざけたことを言う屍だ。俺などあの方々の足元。
Oh. He just feels inferior?
いや、同じ地平にすら立たせてはもらえんよ。
なんだと？
俺は確かに立たせてはもらえんよ。
なんだと？
Is he doing that? Is the priest doing that? I assumed he would just be like, again, like a cyborg, bioengineered super soldier, not a psychic.
俺は確かに核ミサイルや化学兵器程度のダメージなら貴様らに与えることはできる。だがあの俺キレキは人間の兵器など遠く及ばん。主の御業そのものを代行し、主の領域を犯した邪悪を打ち滅ぼす。俺などと比べることは侮辱以外の何者でもない。貴様が犯したのは人の領域に過ぎ、故に俺が人の力で打ち滅ぼす。
なるほど。ここからが本気と。
You're a mere violation of the realm of humanity. What are they doing? Annihilate evil violating his territory. Meanwhile, you are just going after the people that are violating humanity's territory. Interesting. Okay. And again, Gilgamesh said that he's not a full tool. So if he gets closer to, I don't know, maybe full replacement, he then also can become one of these, sacred warriors. I do wonder, did we ever see, again, I have not seen the other trade shows, was there ever were there ever some of these guys visible? It feels like they don't come down to Earth unless necessary. I could see this happening whenever the Holy Grail finds a winner. The winner is deciding on his wish, and that wish comes a little bit too close to God. And then they come down and just annihilate whoever put out that wish. Then the question is also, what is the relationship between the Holy Grail and God? Because we know there's a God, he has warriors. What is the relationship? Is the Holy Grail under supervision of God? Is it made by God? Does he just accept the Holy Grail war? I do wonder. Probably he just ignores it because it's in the realm of humanity, not his realm. But still.
故に俺が人の力で打ち滅ぼす。
なるほど、ここからが本気というわけか。だが潮時だ。
Oh, sunshine, vampires, not really working with. Okay.
今日は挨拶だけとしよう。
逃さんよ。
残念だったな。
But that was not enough. If I had to assume, he now sees a bunch of humans being sucked out of blood.
おい少年、何か見たか？
怖いおじさんが邪魔だって言ってみんなを。
どっちに行ったかわかるか？
Come on.
そうか、無事でよかった。もう安心だぞ。
It's obviously him.
俺だ。全員でビルを囲め。避難する連中。
I forgot he had the fallen
俺
girl.
だ。全員でビルを
Right, you are the one with the iPad.
囲め。避難する連中に紛れるかもしれん。怪しい奴は見逃すな。使徒が聖杯を求めると本当に世も末だな。
Pretty sure he transformed himself into the little child. I don't know if he needs to switch those cores to do that, or he can just shapeshift.
大丈夫かな、警察の人たち。
怪我人は多いが幸い死人はいないらしい。
止まってください。申し訳ありません。
What are you wearing? Oh, you are one of the 4 girls,
周
right?
囲にいる怪しい人間を調べろと
Girl, you can't see anything. Did they all put blindfolds on?
言われております。
いや、そっちの方が何倍も怪しいし。
True.
あれ？
集団暗示の功を焚いてるな。教会は使徒の戦いを隠蔽しようという腹か。
サーバントとマスターの方でしたか。失礼いたしました。
使徒って？
君たちの文化では吸血鬼とか呼ばれる連中さ。
そういうのまでいるんだ。面倒に巻き込まれるのはごめんだからね。私。
I mean, a little bit too late. Little bit too late. You got stopped by Miss Suspicious. You have a fucking knight at your side in full armor. I feel like you are already roped in. I do wonder, however, could she just leave? Or does she still have like this mind manipulation that just stops her from ever leaving?
はもう行くよ。
そうだな、行こ
来なくていいのに。
暇を見て中央教会に来てください。
Subtitles are very hard to read.
マスターの方に監督役からお話がございます。
悪いけど私はマスターじゃないんだ。
I mean, then you would be suspicious again.
私は一体。
I do wonder if that clan has something to do with Francesca because of the silver hair. Or is that just, you know, coincidence? Because I don't really know the Fate universe, I don't know if there are some specific parts that people share, like hair color. Specific hair color means you are from clan XYZ, something like that. As example, Saber always is blonde. So maybe there's something behind the silver hair?
この町で何をすればいいんだ。
あん時のジョーちゃんじゃねえ。
I do not remember I am horrible with names and recognizing voices. Oh. Oh, so it was the good guy. They gave us a nice map.
被害は
一般人に怪我人はいません。クランクラティには負傷者数名治療中です。
君は無理するな。あとは我々で何とかする。
いえ、やります。やらせてください。
You lost an arm. You can't really do much. Probably your dominant arm as well, if I had to guess. But this whole situation potentially showed our police chief the plan probably doesn't work.
その怪我でか。君にはまだ未来がある。無駄にそれを散らすことはない。
でも俺は町の未来を守りたいです。
足手まといにならんという保証でもあるのか。
それはサーバントとの戦いだけなら諦めがついたかもしれません。ですがあんな悪辣な輩を放置したらこの町がどうなるか。魔術師としてじゃない、警官として放っておけません。
心意気は買おう。だが根性論で全体を危険にさらすわけにはいかん。まだ戦えるというのなら片腕や義手で武器が扱えると実証してみせることだ。ジョン・ウィンガード。
やってみせます。
I mean, it makes sense if he's able to train that quickly, sure. Or he can just, you know, be in the background, help that way. Also possible. There's a lot of administration that is going on. A lot of, you know, there's probably a pretty big command structure. And now the phone, I'm assuming we have the heroic spirit again.
私だ。
よう兄弟、災難だったな。まさか吸血鬼とは。さすがの俺もたまげたぜ。そりゃそうと、獅子号ってやつからブツが届いたぞ。こいつなら相手が吸血鬼だろうと心臓に届くと思うぜ。作ってやるよ。そこで怪我してる若造のためにこのヒュドラの毒探検を下敷きにしてな。
期待している。
を下敷きにし
Hydra Poison Dagger as a base. Where's this coming from? They showcase this weapon. I feel like this one is important. Maybe from one of the earlier seasons?
期待している。ここは任せる。
どちらへ？
上の連中に問わねばならん。この状況で予定通りもう一つの戦争を始める。
There's another war. Do we know that? No. The whole idea was we do a fake Holy Grail war to see what happens. And it potentially could become a real Holy Grail war, which it did. But that is what Francesca was saying. They plan another war on top against Heroic Spirit or with Heroic Spirit. There was also this idea that they could potentially use the fake Holy Grail war to just summon Heroic Spirits in cities so that they would more or less get destroyed by the Holy Grail war.
つもりかを
At least that is what it sounded like.
アサシンのお姉ちゃん、早く戻ってこないかな。
Wow, what a surprise! The only person that was alive is the vampire. Ooh. I mean, to be fair, we saw him transform at the very beginning. They did not. However, I assume the priest knows the abilities of a vampire. This could potentially be an ability they possess. However, this character also was talking about stealing the power from the spirit, the noble spirit or heroic spirit. That is why he wants to torture or whatever the assassin so that he can take the power for himself. Maybe it's a heroic spirit power. But that you did not even keep him for questioning is a little bit weird.
以上、警察署付近で起きたテロ行為については続報が入り次第お伝えします。
Yeah, terrorist attack. The flying cars? Terrorist. How? I don't know, terrorist weapon.
続いてのニュースです。
いやー、あの演説してたサーバントさん、カリスマ半端なかったですね、ジャックさん。
私の神名を堂々と口にするのはどうかと思うぞ。というか、
Is a true name important? I know other shows there is a special importance for the true name. I don't know which show it was, but there was a show where the true name more or less gave you power over the person. So, do we have something similar here?
敵対すべき英霊を見た感想がそれというのはマスターとしていかがなものだろうか。
だから敵対しないで、みんなと友達になりましょう。
君が聖杯戦争の意味を理解しているのか、本当に不安になってきたぞ。
大丈夫です。ちゃんと使徒の人の写真を撮りましたから。これって貴重ですよ。他の人は暗示でデータ消させられてたから。
携帯電話のご使用はお静かに。
あ、すいません。
聖杯戦争
So he wants to still be friends with everyone, which is interesting because he has Jack the Ripper as a heroic spirit, which is Berserker class. None of those two are particularly friendly sounding. And he wants to be friends with the vampire?
が始まっていない。
Okay, we go to that is interesting. What do you mean?
まだ断片的な情報のみですが、合衆国は聖杯戦争の裏で何かを進めているようなのです。スノーフィールドに潜り込んでいる魔術師から得たものです。
実中八九英霊の仕業だろうな。
強力なサーバントが複数召喚されている証拠でしょう。しかしここ数時間でスノーフィールドの霊脈は再び異常な魔力の高まりを見せている。
Okay.
英霊が召喚されたにもかかわらず再び魔力を吸い上げている。
その通り。今協力者から追加資料が届きました。現地のローカル番組の映像のようですが。
管轄外とか言っておきながら心配性な男よな。
So the war hasn't started. Who starts the war? It's not a fight between masters. At least it's not really a fight between heroic spirit or master and master. I don't believe. No, heroic spirits already fought. What really starts the war? Who starts the war? And what is the underlying plan? Something with the ley line again? Are they going to start a second Holy Grail war on top of this one? Can you do that? I mean, that is the whole idea, to try and see if they can, you know, fabricate Holy Grail wars. For what purpose? We don't really specifically know, but they seem to have a bunch of ideas how to use that. So maybe they want to see if they can have multiple wars at the same time. That wouldn't also make more sense why the police chief was preparing for Gilgamesh, because at the time he didn't really there was no reason to know if Gilgamesh appears. But if you start a second war, Gilgamesh appearing, the chance for that increases a lot. Would make more sense.
師匠に聖杯戦争を勝ち残るアドバイスをもらうためかね。
というか、この町なんかおかしいんですよね。ところどころに魔術的な暗示がさりげなく仕込まれてたり、変な霧みたいなのも漂ってるし。
霧？
それに。
Interesting that he is able to figure this out. Because there was like this, it felt like he was not really that good, at least at the very beginning. But as soon as we saw him look at his command spell, him figuring it out, playing around with it, he seems pretty adept as a mage.
教授のことだからきっと心配してると思うんですよ。あと何よりジャックさんのことを報告したいですから。あとどうしたら他のサーバントの人と仲良くなれるか聞こうと思って、警察署でもう一人サーバントの人の写真を撮ったんで。
ちょっと待ちたまえ。もう一人のサーバントとは何だね。
ああ、そっか。神父さんと使徒のバトルに釘付けで気づいてなかったんですね。
My first instinct was the shadow one from the little girl.
なぜ言わなかったのかね。
いやだって下手に騒いで見つかってたら一瞬で殺されてたでしょうし。
何？
あんなにすごいエネルギーの塊を見たのって初めてですよ。
Most definitely.
目をつけられただけで死んでたろうなって思います。
君はただのバカかと思いきや妙なところでドライだな。
今までただのバカって思ってたんですか？
Can we see the picture, please?
いえ、逆になんか嬉しいです。俺子供の頃から怖がられたり避けられたりしてばかりで、面と向かって怒ってくれる人って少なくて。
Why?
そうか。
そんな人、教授とその妹の姫さんと同じ教室のみんなと OB の人だとの
Professor, his little sister, the princess.
姫さんと同じ。
Was the silver-haired woman, did she not have a crown on her head? Someone had a crown on the head, a little one. Like a little toy, you know, crown. Is that the little sister?
教室のみんなと OB の人たちぐらいでしたから。
いや、それ普通に結構多くないかね。
これテレビですか？教授はライネスちゃん似てるから。
して揃って教授の目を盗んで聖杯戦争に参加とは無鉄砲様教えのうちといったところじゃな。
返す言葉もございません。失礼。
はい、教授。教授のおかげで最高のサーバントを召喚できました。見てください、このバーサーカーさんを。は
あ、この天才バカめ。
Right. So I'm assuming this is the shadow one.
街で発見したサーバントさんです。どうすれば仲良くなれますかね？
Never mind, it was Gilgamesh. That was my second idea. Okay, so this character was in a previous show. Okay.
バカな。
So, I mean, I feel like Gigamesh, everyone knows Gigamesh. Even I know him, and I have seen only one season, and I believe in that season there was no Gigamesh.
やはり街路や楼閣の並びだけを比較してもウルクの街の方が美しいな。
王よ、かつての聖杯戦争では建物そのものを倒壊させた例もあると聞きます。このクリスタルヒルごと破壊してくることも。
そんなものを俺には問題ですらない。だが貴様らを呼びつけたのは俺だからな。特別に落下傘くらいは用意してやる。
はい。
Okay.
なあティーネよ、お前はこの土地を取り戻したいのだろう。
もちろんです。
な
It feels like she has a wedding dress on.
らばその簒奪者どもをこの凡庸な景色ごと更地にするのが最も早いと思う。
I mean, technically, but I don't believe she means she wants the land back in only the land. She wants, you know, the city back.
お戯れを。
戯れ？お前の
I don't feel like Gigamesh is the jokey kind of character.
先祖の悲願に最も近い答えだろう。俺を最初に呼び出した道家の命とこの町の雑種どもにどのような差がある？
そんな暴虐を行えばこの土地を奪った魔術師たちと同じに。
模範解答だな。だが足りぬ。
Right, we still have the whole idea that she is just following her ancestors' wish. But Gilgamesh wants her to, you know, bring forth her own wish, her own desire.
それはお前自身が考えた答えではないだろう。ティーネ・チェルク。
私自身の。
ようやく疑問が生まれたか。ならばよしとしよう。疑問こそが盲信を打ち破る礎よ。何？お前があまりに不景気な顔をしているのでな。少しからかっただけだ。どうした？やっとこの世で最高の娯楽が俺の栄光を見ることだと気づいたか？よかろう許す。存分に俺を責め回し、子々孫々に語り継ぐがいい。
I mean, he is one of the greatest, so...
セイバーだ。
Who's that? Looks like a person. Could be a heroic spirit, but we already have 7.
セイバーだ。ありえない。
まさにテレビで演説する英霊というのは前代未聞。
そうではありません。
The whole idea that you can't summon Saber outside of Japan, was it? So it couldn't be a real Holy Grail war, but with Saber, now 7 spirits.
この生中継の時間とほぼ同じタイミングで土地の魔力が放出を始めているのです。まるで聖杯が7機の英霊召喚を始めるように。
何？
合衆国はこの聖杯戦争を偽りの聖杯戦争と呼んでいた。セイバーのいない6機のサーバント。どういう意味かわからなかったが、
まさか
このセイバーが1機目なのか。すでに召喚された6機は本物の儀式のための触媒に過ぎないのだとしたら、の触媒
What?
すでに
6 already summoned were only
召喚された6
catalysts.
機は本物の儀式のための触媒に過ぎない。
So you use these holy heroic spirits to summon better heroic spirits?
のだとしたら時間ですね。ソに銀と鉄、礎に
So this is what the ritual is for summoning a heroic
西
spirit.
と契約の太鼓、新たなサーバントがスノーフィールドに召喚される。抑止の輪より来たれ、天秤の守り手よ。
So this is another heroic spirit. So they summon more heroic spirits, or they have a second Holy Grail War on top of the first one. I wonder what class you are. Who are you shooting at? Oh, it is at Gilgamesh. I was... okay. I mean, it would make sense to try to take him out.
失敗？私です。失敗です。やはり一度に
Was it though?
権限できるのは7機。
You do have a command spell. Art thou my master? Art thou my master? It sounds oldish. My first instinct was Saber. Better without heroes. Oh. Right, everyone is happy, go lucky. Ooh. Fate, strange fake. So this one is also a heroic spirit, some kind of archer. It feels Mongolian, but I'm too stupid. I have no idea about different cultures in that vein. Just feels like it. All of this. So he attacked Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is going to deal with that easy peasy. However, that means we have one extra heroic spirit. We have a second one that got summoned. So at the moment we have 9. If you count the shadow in the hospital. I don't really know if that is a spirit or not. She had a command spell. It was going in the direction of Gilgamesh and Divine Spirit. So the question is really... So they just try to summon more spirits? Or are they really making another Holy Grail War? Because they were talking about the ley line. The ley line, you know, emitted a lot of power with the speech of Saber. And I assume that means that whenever the ley line emits a lot of power, that is the start when the heroic spirits get summoned. Now, why do they want to do a second Holy Grail War? I don't know. Maybe it's a test. Maybe there's something bigger. But it is going to be interesting if we get like a whole, 14 people free for all. It's gonna be a mess. A big mess. But I'm interested to see what kind of heroic spirits we are going to get additionally to the one we already have.